I want to continue to talk to you about what happened that was reported by Reuters January 25th, just a few weeks ago, on a war game that happened in Israel. Israel, the story says, on Thursday led a 10-country simulation of a major cyber attack on the global financial system in an attempt to increase cooperation that could help minimize any potential damage to the financial markets and the banks. By the way, I believe we are issuing a FOIA request because 10 years ago, the Federal Reserve and the Treasury made top secret the meetings that I know happened because I had friends in the room, and the strong arm tactics that the Fed and Treasury used to get every bank to take TARP. It had been deemed sensitive and secret and could not be revealed for 10 years. Well, we are now 10 years away from that being sealed. And I'd like to see those documents. Anyway, so they're looking for increased cooperation. All right. So they did this war game. It was a 10-day thing, and they had everybody who was anybody there. The simulation, the war that they were fighting, the financial war they were fighting, was, quote, likely caused by what officials called sophisticated players. Now, who would that be? That would be China. That would be Russia. Let's say Russia decides to go in and take Ukraine, and then the United States says, well, we in the West, we are going to cripple you financially. A sophisticated player, someone who might have a whole system set up to do cyber warfare, because I believe it was Putin who said the next world war will be fought with ones and zeros. That sophisticated player could then attack the financial system of the West. This is what they're talking about. So, they said sophisticated players featured several types of attack that impacted global foreign exchange and bond markets, liquidity, and the integrity of data and transactions between importers and exporters. These events, quoting, were creating havoc in the financial markets, said the narrator of the film to the participants as part of the simulation, as seen by Reuters. Israeli government officials said such threats are possible in the wake of many high-profile cyber attacks on large companies, and that the only way to contain any damage is through global cooperation since current cybersecurity is not strong enough. Attackers are 10 steps ahead of the defender, said Israel's finance ministry. Participants there at the war game called for collective strength. They included Treasury officials from Israel, the United States, the United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Austria, Switzerland, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Thailand, as well as members of the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and Bank of International Settlements. So you don't have a lot of influential people there. It sounds like the entire Western world. The narrator of the film in the simulation said governments were under pressure to clarify the impact of the attack, which was paralyzing the global financial system. So, in the war game, the governments of the world are not telling people what the nature or impact of this really is. The banks, quoting the film, the banks are appealing for emergency liquidity assistance in a multitude of currencies. So the bank all over the world, all the banks are saying, you've got to print more money and give it to us. They say they're going to need this liquidity to put halt to the chaos as counterparties withdraw their funds and limit access to liquidity, leaving the banks in disarray and ruin. This is something that changed after 2008. You can't pull your money. If the bank is in trouble, they can wipe your bank account out to zero. You are the lender of last resort. Your savings and checking account, they now have legal right to wipe your bank and savings and everything else out to pay their bills. So think about how happy everybody's going to be if this happens and they find that out. Wait a minute. What do you mean? What do you mean? Don't worry. The FDIC is going to give you all your money. Oh, okay. The participants discussed, listen to this, multilateral policies to respond to the crises, including a coordinated bank holiday. That means a bank holiday closed for 3 days, 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, everywhere on earth. Debt repayment grace periods, swap repro agreements, and, listen to this, coordinated delinking from major currencies. Let's see, major currencies. What would a major currency be? You think probably...
What's the currency of Monaco?
Yeah, probably that one, and maybe Canada.
Maybe what's Madagascar's currency?
Right.
Maybe it could be that one.
And coordinated delinking from major currencies. I am telling you right now that is code for dumping the dollar. Coordinated, orderly exit of the dollar. The head of Israel's financial cyber engagements said international collaboration between finance ministries and international organizations is key for the resilience of the financial ecosystem. This is part of the Great Reset. Now, the same kind of group of people, obviously different, but they included our Treasury Department and our Fed and the central banks all around the world and people like the IMF. So a lot of the same people were at a war game back in 2019 in September called Event 201. Now, I am not saying anything came out of that. Nothing was coordinated, nothing else, just super, super lucky that they had a war game on a coronavirus outbreak. And they war gamed what should happen. And they came up with, we have to have international coordination and all of our nations need to work together and we have to close everything down. The exact playbook that we have been playing on was handed to the president by the Federal Reserve from that war game. You can find all the information. You can watch it, Bill. I mean, they're not ashamed of it. They have it all on videotape, and you can watch it on YouTube. I think it's Event 201. And I am not claiming it was a conspiracy where they planned this. They just planned a reaction in case it happens. And lo and behold, it happened. Here, they're just now wargaming. What happens if the financial markets bust? Well, this is their plan. I don't like their plan. And they're not sharing their plan truly with all of us. And where does that leave all of us? See, this is the problem. The elites are designing the world, and they're not telling us. There are very good reasons to redesign the world because it is going to change, and there's a lot of pain coming. But it really makes me angry that no one will talk to us about it. Excuse me, but we were the ones who you're supposed to represent. We're the ones that bought your product and built your company by buying it. We're the ones that voted for you. And in far too many cases, you're not the person that got to your position because of any of us. We don't even know who you are. How dare you plan my life? When all of this hits the fan, and I am concerned, and I'm always wrong on timing. Always wrong on timing. And that's a good thing because it always takes years for these things to happen. And I always feel the hot breath of it's about to happen. And it never does. It happens, but it's usually years down the road. So I don't know when this is going to happen, but I will tell you, if you actually believed the things that those who believe in ESG, those who believe in things like this, if you know you're going to reset the system, when you start to see things like a war, when you start to see things like the economies starting to collapse around the world and have real problem, it would be, at least if I believed these things and I were part of that group and I knew how hard it was going to be to pull off, I would say, you know, right now the United States is not awake. Right now the United States Congress and Senate is in the hands of friendlies, and so is the White House. If this is going to happen anyway, if things are getting bad now, why not just kind of push it along a little bit and let's just do it? Because, come on, guys, we're ready. Are we all ready? Let's just do it. Now, I'm a risk taker, so that would be my advice. If I believed in this stuff and wanted it to happen, that would be my advice. Usually, cooler heads prevail, and they're like, no, let's slow down. But who knows? What I do know is you need to know what the Great Reset is. You need to know what ESG is, and you're seeing it everywhere now. You were not seeing this 6 months ago. People thought we were crazy. I have a friend who does mortgages for a living, and he said, Glenn, I've been hearing you talk about ESGs, and I'm seeing it pop up everywhere with the banks. And he said, I have not understood why they think this is so important until I read your book. Now I look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that explains everything they're doing. Please get the book, The Great Reset, Joe Biden and 21st Century Fascism. It's available wherever books are sold.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from Blaze TV with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.